Okay, let's go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Probation Officer's Perspective. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, ding, to all, so you'll be notified of all the new content that I'm pushing out. Sorry about the voice. Man, my boys, dude, it's like I have sons and they go to school and they're constantly coming home and bringing something home, and then it gets passed around, and so I got something, so my voice is a little bit jacked up. But I want to thank everybody for their support. Without you, there wouldn't be a channel here. I wouldn't be sharing my experiences with you. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all the subscribers and everybody that watches my channel. I appreciate it very much. And with that, today's video, I wanted to do a video about being successfully completing parole or probation. And I want to give a little tips, maybe you want to call it tips, advice on how you can accomplish that. Of course, there's one surefire way of not or completing is not being on paper at all. Don't get caught up in that lifestyle. And I'm going to give a little background on my lifestyle, because thinking if you don't get caught up in that lifestyle, well, then you don't have to worry about ever being on parole or probation, and it's all good. But if you do get wrapped up in it, like I did myself at 12 years old, is when I started running around and running the streets. And what did it end up doing? It ended up costing me a lot. But I am here to be a witness to tell you that you can turn your life around. You can do anything you want that you put your mind to. So that means a lot. Man, that light's bright. It's like bug in my eyes. But you can turn your life around. You can do anything you want to do that you put your mind to. 100%. And I'm proof of that. I'm proof of it. And that's why I like to share. I like to share all my experience, hoping that I can help at least one person, or 5 people, or 10 people, or 20 people, or 100 people. Whatever it is, even if it's just one, I can help somebody out. So, again, I started my lifestyle. I was born and raised in Salinas, California. Anybody knows that's called the Salad Bowl. And it's an active place. When I was growing up, I was a good kid in elementary school, got good grades. I was, and all that. And I was never a dummy. I was never dumb or anything like that. I just made bad choices. And I think that's, a lot of people can relate to that. You just made a choice to go a different direction than what the path was that you were on. You were on a good path, and then you veered off that path. And that's what I did. And what it ended up for me is, as a teenager, I ended up having a few run-ins with, I had several run-ins with trouble in the law and school and things like that. But I went to juvenile hall, I want to say 3 times. I never talk about the other 2 times because it was only for overnight, and then that was it. But the one time it was I was in there for a month. And then after that, I was raised up by a single, mom, which was not normal. I mean, there wasn't a normal thing back in that era, in the 70s and the 80s, early 80s. My dad bounced out when I was 11 years old. My trouble started when I was 12. When I got into 7th grade, right when I started 7th grade, where I had to go across town to the other side of town, where you get a mixture of everybody in town going to that school for junior high. and then you meet other people, not just the people in your neighborhood. Like, we were all solid in my neighborhood, like all around, Yeah, you had your beefs, but for the most part, everybody was solid. But my road that path I veered off of ended me up starting with juvenile. Like I said, it wasn't nothing major. But when I became an adult, and just here recently, because I always said 5 times, which, like, it's not a contest. I'm not proud of it, but I wanted to be accurate. And I had been calling around trying to get records for years. Now, my FBI rap sheet, that's the easy one. That's easy to do. You just get your fingerprints done. You fill out their application, you pay the money, get your fingerprints done, and then they send you your rap sheet. That's easy. The hard part is getting any court records from back in the 80s, because everybody wants to play pass the buck. And so I've been fighting for years trying to figure this out and that, and they just keep passing the buck. Oh, you need to get a hold of this department. You need to get a hold of that department. And I did all that. And just recently I did it again. And I was able to get somewhere this time because someone else was working at this time now. And so I was getting the buck passed around again, not with the FBI, but with the arresting agencies, the county jail, and what have you. So when I finally get a hold of the county jail, and this person was in charge of the records, and it was a guy. He told me, he was like, "You're lucky that you called me you called when you did, because we're just getting ready to purge our records again." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he explained that, so many years go by, they have to purge those records. And we're talking, I was in trouble in the 80s, I got locked up in the 80s. And so those records, I guess, they want to purge. Purge means they're gone. They get rid of them. They destroy them. So he explained to me why the courthouse, they had purged their records already. That's why I kept getting to run around with the courthouse. And the local Salinas PD gave me the run around all the time. And it didn't matter who I talked to. It was always a different story. Anyway, so my story is that so I was locked up as an adult in the county jail. I was in the county jail 7 times. I always used to say 5. It's not like like I'm proud of it or whatever. It's just, I wanted to be accurate. And I always wanted to go with 5 because that's been so long ago. I couldn't remember all the times I'd been in there. Well, I've been in there 7 times before I was 19. By the time I was 19 years old, before I ended up doing state time. And so 7 times, and then I got state time, and I did 2 years in the state prison system, the CDC. And then after that, I thought everything was good. I'm going to walk out these doors. And as soon, you think about that, or you might see it on movies. Oh yeah, you walk out the gates and you're a free man, and your lady or your family is there to greet you and take you away. Well, or pick you up, I mean. And that didn't happen with me, because before they release you, they run you to make sure you don't have any warrants. And I had a warrant because I was right in the same county. I was in Monterey County. So I was hoping, wishing that, like, oh yeah, I know about this. It was a misdemeanor charge, but still, that would be gone, or maybe they would just summons me after I got released or whatever, Because no one ever said anything to me, like my counselor or nobody. No one ever told me anything about it. Anyway, so I get shipped back to Monterey County. And the judge sentenced me to 6 months. And I'm like, man, I just did 2 years. I've been in and out of this county jail. And now I got to do another 6 months in the county. I'm not trying to do all of that. So I have an attorney, and I'm talking to the judge, the attorney. I speak to the judge, and I'm like, Your Honor, I don't remember exactly what I said, because again, you're talking 30 years ago, something like that. Let's see, no, been 40 years ago, like 35 years, 36, 7 years ago. I don't remember exactly what I said, but at that time, I had lost my grandparents and some other family members, and my mom had moved away while I was locked up. She moved up north, and I said I need to get my affairs in order. Is there any way I can get a stay? And if anyone's not familiar with that, I don't know if they still do it, but a judge grants you a stay, meaning like you see it on TV, especially in with federal court. These people on TV, they get sentenced to federal time, and they'll say you have to report on this day, at this time, and turn yourself in to do your time. So he gave me a 2-week stay, and that 2-week stay was, I got out, got released, went to my friends. That's where all my stuff was at, and I just grabbed up some clothes, and then I got on a Greyhound bus and bounced out. Knowing I went up north to see my mom, and stayed there up until about 3 days before I was supposed to turn myself in. And then I bounced. I went all the way across the United States. I went to Ohio, where my dad lived. My dad knew nothing about it, what I was facing or what I was doing. So anyways, that's my story. And I was able to turn my life around. As soon as I got to Ohio, within I think it was the first month, I met my first wife, and it just went from there. And I got into law enforcement by a total coincidence, or you know what I mean, how I got into it. And I'll do a video on that too. I've done some videos on how I've done some interviews with with Chad Marks, Blood on a Razor Wire TV, and I've also did one with Ian Bick, which that one I did a couple weeks ago. It hasn't been released. I don't know when it's going to be released. It could be another month because he's doing a lot of interviews now, and he doesn't release them out till later. But anyways, I want to do my own so I can go into every detail. And that's the thing about interviews. You don't get to tell every little detail about yourself. But anyways, enough about me. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background and how you can turn your life around and be successful at whatever you want. Being a felon, leaving the past behind you, starting a new life, starting fresh, and getting out of that lifestyle. And you can do it. 100%. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. Don't give up. Whatever you do, things are going to get hard. Nobody said it's going to be easy, but you can do it. I have faith in you. God has faith in you, and you're going to do it. He's going to put some trials. He's going to put some hard times on you. But you got to fight through those times, and you'll make it, and you'll be successful. Guarantee. All right. So my topic is, I'm sorry I took up so much time with that, but for new subscribers, I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, when it comes to being on paper, whether it's parole or probation, I want to give some tips, advice, again, like I said, and that I feel like maybe I can help you on to successfully complete probation, parole, whatever it is you're on, felony paper. And so I was a felony probation officer at one time in my career. It's the name Probation Officer's Perspective. Now, I did a video about probation as being a setup for failure. It is for a lot of people because of the way they do it. So here's what I can tell you. If you've never been to prison and you get put on paper, on felony paper, there's a lot of people that get that. They just sit, they might do a little county time while they're waiting, and then they get put on paper, and, they don't have to, they get a sentence, but it's usually a small sentence of prison. And that's the extent of it, But I want to talk about how you can, the best way to go about being on paper. Now, when you meet your PO, remember, and those of you, first of all, those of you that are on paper right now, if you think your PO's the coolest thing on earth, that's great. Because you think they're cool because they let you get away with shit. A lot of shit. Whether it's dirty piss tests or whatever it may be, they let you get away with it. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, and I've seen it time and time again. Your PO that's so cool and letting you get away with not having to do this or that or whatever your stipulations are, they're going to, one day you're going to go in. They quit. They quit their job. They resigned. They moved on to a better job or a different type job, whatever it may be. And now you're stuck with some asshole PO. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to walk the straight and narrow, or they're going to throw your ass back in prison. Point blank. That's it. That's the way it is. So don't get too comfortable with that PO that you think is great because they're letting you get away with shit that other POs wouldn't let you get away with, because that PO could always leave at any point in time and quit. Like I said, quit. Get fired for not doing their job, or resign, whatever it may be, and they're going to replace them. And you're going to probably get stuck with some asshole. And they're going to look at your file, your jacket. They're going to be like, oh, wow, such and such hasn't been doing this, and this. Wonder why. No piss tests, or, you know what I mean? Maybe they didn't mark it down in there. You're a cool PO. And then they're going to be all up your ass, and the next thing you know, you're going to be back in prison, period. So here's my advice to you. If you've been on paper before, or if this is your first time on paper, how to successfully complete it. I'm going to tell you from the get-go. When you get released and you have to report for the first time, and you're assigned a PO, and you find out who your PO is, so you're there waiting, and you have to meet them. Make sure. Now, this is just me. I'm just trying to give you some tips. Be clean. Being clean means be clean cut. You know what I mean? And most of you are like that. You have that hygiene habit, like most people. You take a shower. You know what I mean? Every day. You like to wear nice clothes. You like to keep your shit clean, pressed, whatever. Go in there for the first time. Make sure you're clean. You're dressed nice and clean, not gang banged out. If you're affiliated or you ran with a gang, don't go in there with your shit on or anything like that. Anything that resembles the fact that you were in a gang. I'm telling you right now, just be normal, dress normal. I mean, you can wear whatever you want to wear, but just dress normal. Neutral colors, no colors of any kind, just neutral, and be clean cut. Now, here's the second piece of advice. Be respectful. Because this is the first time you're meeting this person, and I'm going to tell you why this means something, and you're going to relate to this. The first time you meet them, shake their hand. Tell them nice to meet you. I can't stress enough. Yes, sir. no, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Okay? Respect. It goes a long way. And that first meeting that they're sizing you up. They're trying to see, what type, if you're a scam, a hustler, a scammer, you're putting on a fake persona. Just be that person that that you can be and that you really are inside. You're not the hardcore gangster anymore. You're out. Okay? You did what you did before, maybe on the streets. You went to prison. You did what you had to do in prison, but you're no longer there. You obviously chose to be out on paper. So that's the second thing. Now is make sure you, and I can't stress enough, if he comes off or she comes off, whatever your officer is, a male or female, make sure that even if they act like an asshole to you right off the rip, and they're giving you your terms of probation that you already probably signed them, but they're going to go over them with you and whatever stipulations they have. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. Okay? But if they come off like an asshole, just continue to smile, or not smile, but just be yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, no matter how much if they're an asshole or not. Because I worked with a lot of assholes. But I'm telling you how you can do this successfully. By doing that, you're setting up yourself that, like I said, the first time you meet somebody, and everybody meets new people, just like you do. When you first meet somebody new, you're like, you want to, what kind of person this is, and your gut usually tells you. I always go with my gut feeling. I always have. And my gut's usually right 90% of the time. I'm just going to say 90% of the time. My gut's usually right about somebody. So do that. And the next time you come in there, they might be an asshole, period. But you don't have to, it's depending on, they might be in a bad mood. Who knows what it is? You know what I mean? I try to stay the same all the time. I don't bring my personal, my personal life to work. I didn't do that. A lot of people do. The other thing is, all law enforcement, they want them to have a bachelor's degree, 4-year degree. Okay? And I worked, and I didn't have a degree at that time at all. Nothing. I got hired out of I don't even know how many applicants there were, because I had some good words from some high up people that put that stamp on me that I was good. And so they used my work experience and my street experience, and that's how I got the job, without a degree. And everybody else, well, my partner didn't. He didn't. He was former law enforcement, so his experience. But everybody else I worked with all had bachelor's degrees, 4-year degree. And let me tell you, did it mean anything? No, because I'm going to tell you what. Most of them were fed with a silver spoon. They may not have ever. They never ran the streets. They never been to jail. They never done drugs. Maybe they did smoke some weed, but they never really got into hard drugs. So they learned everything out of a book and got a degree. And to me, that doesn't make you a good officer, whether it's a PO, police officer, whatever job you're in when you're dealing with the public. Doesn't make you a good person, because you're relying on that book smarts and never being in the streets. Now, the ones that make good cops and stuff like that are ones that have been in the streets when they were growing up, and they turned, and worked for law enforcement. They ended up working for law enforcement, and they're good people because they can relate. And my thing was always I wanted to be able to relate with everybody I had on my caseload. And like I said, everybody, because you got all kinds of different people from all walks of life, different charges, different backgrounds, different lifestyle, home, brought up home life. Everything's different. Nobody's the same. Nobody. So I like to get that rapport. I always work on that rapport with somebody. And the worst thing that, like I said, is my gut is when I meet you is my first instinct. And a lot of those other people that are book smart, but they sit behind a desk and they don't work on the street. I used to work the streets all the time, me and my partner, and I loved it because I could relate to people and I could get out there and chop it up with people and I got respect, and I gave respect back. And it got me a long way, because if not, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. I don't know how many times that, when I was when I was an investigator, and when I worked other jobs in law enforcement, and even as a PO, people would come up and tell me hey, look out, just watch your back, because, I heard on the street, they used to call me and my partner Batman and Robin. That was our street name. That was our nicknames, Batman and Robin. And I still remember this one guy coming up to the car. We were sitting in the car at a gas station. We always worked at night too. I like working at night because that's when all the action is at night, to me. And so I like to work we both like to work in the nighttime. And this guy comes up, we're sitting at a gas station, just parked, and we were bullshitting and probably drinking some coffee or whatever. And he said, man, hey. And so he comes up to the window, and our windows are blacked out. He knocks on the window. We see him walk up. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, you guys are Batman and Robin, right? He said, man, I'm just telling you right now, there's a hit on you guys right now. You need to watch your back. I said, really? And who's that? And I don't remember who it was, but it ended up being true because there was more people than that. But we had a lot of respect, so a lot of people would talk to us, you know what I mean? And, it goes, like I said, some people, whatever reason, they don't like you because they screwed up, and then you had to send them back to prison, and then, or you busted them. And, say when I was working as an investigator or whatever I worked in, you bust them, they go to prison, then they have, a hard on for you. That they're going to get you back. Dude, all I was doing my job. And you got to understand that. Just like working at retail or working in a warehouse job, a trucker, it doesn't matter what you do. You have a boss, right? You got rules. If you don't, you're going to get fired and you lose your job. I had rules. I had things I had to abide by for my job. If not, I would lose my job. And I'm not losing my job because I have kids to raise. And I'm not going to lose my job over letting you do something stupid and me getting in trouble for it. You know what I mean? It's not happening. But respect goes a long way. That's what I'm getting at. So one of the stipulations and one of your terms are going to be you have to get a job and have employment, gainful employment, unless you're on Social Security or disability for whatever reason, then you get a pass on the employment. But other than that, you're still going to piss test. You're still going to do all that stuff. Now, I was at the beginning for the first couple of years, I was just regular probation, felony probation, but I was just a regular caseload. And after about 2 years, one of the intensive officers, he supervises the high risk individuals, murderers, chomos, violent criminals, gangbangers, gangsters. That's the high risk. And so I didn't even get offered the job because I really didn't want it, because I had a cushy job at that time. I got pushed into that job. I didn't have a choice. I got appointed that job. The chief freaking said, "Hey, look, I feel like, you'd be the best fit for this job, so I'm going to give you," and then, I'm like, I got a little raise too with it, but still, he didn't ask me if I wanted it. I just kind of got put in that position. So I was with the high risk offenders. And when you first get out, if you're high risk, you might see your PO 3 times a week, twice a week. And then as time goes on, if everything's cool, you're pissing clean, you're out there looking for a job, whatever it may be, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and you're not fucking off. Then it'll go to once a week. And you know what? It's a hassle, and I understand that. That's what I did in the setting up for failure, because they put a lot of shit on people. Like, you got to go to this counseling or AA meetings, NA meetings. You got this stipulation. Of course, everybody has a curfew. You got a curfew. Yeah, it sucks, but hey, you're free, right? You can go down to McDonald's and go get you a Big Mac anytime you want. You know what I mean? Or whatever your thing is. So you're free. But there is some rules. And there's some stipulations that people don't like. The judge might stipulate, or the board might stipulate, that you are to have no contact with your wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend. And you just got out of prison. You're like, damn, man. Because maybe something happened in the past and there's a reason for why they told you that. But you got to abide by that. You have to abide by that. You don't have a choice. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to try to not do that. But you might get away with it once. You might get away with it 2, 3, 4 times. Eventually, you are going to get caught. I'm just going to tell you point blank. You might even get caught the first time. And just stick to the program. And I'm going to tell you why most people get popped or get busted and get revoked or get sent back to prison. And that is because they don't follow the rules and they don't follow their stipulations, and they try to get over on their PO or whatever. But the main reason is they piss off their old lady or their old man if you're female on paper. You piss off your old man or your old lady. Most of the time it's old ladies. Because you know how women, no offense to women, but you guys hold grudges forever. Like, it could be some shit happened 5-10 years ago. You get in an argument and they're bringing it up after they said, "Oh no, I'll never bring it up again." You know what I mean? Shit. Oh, remember you did this 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Whatever. They're the first ones to call on you. You piss them off, they catch you talking to another chick. They go through your phone or whatever it may be. They're calling your PO. And I used to take that with a grain of salt. Not after the first time. I'd always take it seriously the first time. Depending on the situation, maybe the second time, but normally first time, they say, "Oh, he's using drugs, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's not home. He's running around with this person and that person." And I go check it out. They give me that information. I'm going to go follow up on it. And so I'm going to show up randomly. When they tell me that night, I'm going to go and I'm going to show up. I'm going to toss your house and make sure that you don't have any weapons, drugs, anything you're not supposed to have in your household. And then I'm going to piss test you. And if you piss dirty, or I find anything, then you're done for. If you piss clean and I don't find anything, I'm over it. The next time your old lady calls me, I'm more than likely not going to follow up on it. And the reason being is I have a lot of people on my caseload, and I got a lot of people that are out there doing shit that, especially these chomos. I used to really focus on that because I didn't want any other victims, But, that unless you cop another charge, then, you know what I mean? I would just keep, up with you, and that's it. But I'm telling you right now, I would say 60-70% of the calls I would get was usually from people's old ladies. You know what I mean? And like I said, I would check it out once. Now, if it was something serious, or maybe I'll go out the second time, but most of the time, no, because they lied to me. They were just trying to get you in trouble and trying to send you back because they were mad, but they really didn't want you to go back to prison, because then once you get arrested, and this happens all the time, they call, I arrest you, and then they're screaming and crying and throwing, please don't send him back. Please don't take him to jail. Please don't do this. And, I don't tell the person like, hey, well, your old lady's the one that called on you. You know what I mean? I don't indulge that information. But in reality, I'm thinking in my head, like, you're the one that called me. You called me because you were pissed at him. And then here I am doing my job, and I'm taking him away because he pissed 30 or whatever it may be. And then you're crying and screaming that you don't want him to go. Then you shouldn't have called me in the first place. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Deal with it. But me working the streets, and then my past history, which I took too long talking about, but I apologize about a little bit about my background for all the people that are new to my channel. I worked the streets a lot, and I got a lot of weapons off the street, a lot of drugs off the street. I did a lot of stuff. I got a commendation, just a lot of things. I did good. But like I said, I didn't have to be an asshole, man. I did not have to be an asshole about it. And you're going to find that, like I said, you have a program, you have terms, you have rules that you have to abide by. Now, here's where this is. I told you earlier I was going to relate this back so you can relate to me, what I'm saying. If, say you're in California or any other state, but California is the most political prisons, have the politics in prison, California. Okay, everything stems from California, no matter where you live in the United States. It all comes from California, for the majority, for the most part. Now, when you're programming, you're in a faction, you're in a car, when you're in prison, what you have to do, you have rules. That's right. Right? You got rules to abide by. You got a program that you have to abide by. And all those rules you have to report to somebody. If you screw up, depending on what you do, they may give you a warning, a little beat down, or maybe a second warning. If you're lucky, you get that second warning. But if not, they're going to take you out, your own people, for not following the rules or mouthing off back, whatever, getting into drugs, drug debts with other factions, whatever the case may be that you did in there. But you have rules that you programmed every day while you were in prison. And so being on paper should be a piece of cake for you because you have freedom. You're not locked up in a cell. And then you have rules to abide by. So just remember that. Remember how you programmed in prison. Bring that mentality of programming when you get released and you're free on paper. Because there's a punishment in prison, and we all know what that is. And I do stories about that all the time when they're getting taken out. And it's not good, and we all know that. So the best way to be, and I do those videos for awareness so that people don't end up in those situations. And I'm telling you this now. It's super easy. If you keep that program mentality that you have in prison, say that's what you do, or not, even if you don't do it. But it's easier for people that program in prison. If you think about it and you get on that level of thinking, well, when I'm in prison, I have someone to answer to, or several people to answer to. And I have to abide by a certain set of rules. I got a program every day. And I have to do this or this. And if I don't do that, the consequences are your life. Now, when you're on paper, you got a set of rules that you got to abide by, which are kind of similar in a way, but your freedom, you have freedom. Now, when you screw up there, you're not going to lose your life, but you're going to get sent back to prison. And then you're going to be back doing the rules, under somebody else's rules again. See what I'm getting at? Can't ever get away from the rules in life, period. Because no matter what job you do, whatever career you do, you're going to have a certain set of rules to abide by, job description. This is what they expect out of you at your job. And therefore, you're going to abide by those, and put out work so you can keep your job, make money, support your family, support yourself, whatever your situation is, save up money, start your own business, be your own boss, and then you get to make the rules. But you still, even with the business, you're dealing with customers, you're dealing with, a lot of things. So just keep that in mind. If you programmed in prison, keep that mindset on paper, and you're going to pass with flying colors. Just do what you're supposed to do. Follow the rules. Think about it. When you want to screw up, when you're thinking about it, and then go, oh, well, if I was in prison right now and I didn't follow that rule, it'd be all bad. Exactly. Keep that mentality, but keep a positive mentality because you're free. And you're not going to get the best jobs, man, because you're a felon. And depending on what your charges are, if you're thieving, your burglary, robbery charges, grand theft, whatever it is, people don't want to hire you because not only are you a felon, but you're a thief. They don't trust you. There are programs out there, though. I always had a list of jobs for people because I had a rapport with a lot of employers that were always, one was a temp agency, that I used a lot, and then another one was just different businesses. But I'm telling you what, you're going to get shit jobs and shit pay. You're going to work your ass off for a little bit of money. And there's about a 50-50 rate of how that goes in that I've dealt with. Success rate. There's a 50-50 success rate on those jobs that I give you. If you can't find a job on your own, I'm going to help you get a job because I want you to succeed. But it's not going to be a good job. You're going to work your ass off. You're going to work a lot of hours, and the pay's not going to be the greatest, but at least you're working and you're getting that and you understand. It's going to help you in life. So again, remember, when you're dealing with your PO, Respect always. Don't lie. To gauge your PO. Me, I used to tell everybody, look, if you lie to me, like if just say you're dirty and I know it, or I catch you with something, whatever it may be. I'm like, listen, if you lie to me, this is all going to be bad. If you're honest with me, I can work with you. Now, if you continually do it, that's a different story. But I'm always trying to help people, with that second chance. You know what I mean? Even though you're on a second chance by being on paper, I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt and help you out and break you of those bad habits. And that's what I used to tell everybody. I'd be like, you lie to me, we're done. I can't help you. But if you're honest with me, I can work with you. I want to see you successfully complete. I want to see you be successful in life. That's what I want to see. And I see people all the time. I talk to people all the time. I run into people. And they tell me how great they're doing. And they thank me sometimes for being who I was and how I treated them and the respect. Because of that, they're successful now. And maybe they started out bad, but they ended up good. And that's what I love to hear. And if I can help one person, 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 100 people, whatever it is, just with my channel on any way, on addiction, on mental health, on probation or parole, whatever I can help with, I'm here. I'm going to be pushing these videos out, trying to help you. Leave a comment down below if you have a question, or go to my channel description. My contact information is right there. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm very good about getting back to people because I'm always trying to help people. That's my goal. I feel like God placed that on me to help people and for the things I did when I was younger and giving back. And I guess my gift is relating to other people's situations and trying to help them out. And then trying to help people so they don't get into those situations. You know what I mean? In the first place, that would be even better. So if you have any questions, but that's how you successfully complete. Go to job, piss clean, abide by the rules, just like you did in prison. And everything's going to go smoothly. Now you're going to have those asshole POs. It's going to happen. And if it gets to the point where you feel like they're harassing you or they're really pushing you to where you're going to screw up. You're doing great, but then they're pushing you so hard, harassing you that you feel like you're going to screw up. Then you need to go talk to the chief or the director and explain your situation and how, look, I'm doing good. I've been good. I haven't screwed up. Or maybe you screwed up at the beginning, but you've changed your ways and you're doing all your programming you're supposed to do. You're working, you're making money, you haven't gotten into any trouble, and they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing to your breaking point. Go talk to them. Don't be afraid to go talk to the chief or the director. Yeah, your PO might get pissed off and feel like, oh yeah, you went behind my back because you went above my head. Fuck them. Don't worry about them. Because more than likely, you might get switched to a different officer. Because I guarantee you that officer that's doing that has had several complaints from not just you, other people. And hopefully they can remedy the situation so you can continue to be successful and not snap. But that's it. That's what I got for you guys today. I hope something that I said in there, remember about programming, following the rules, simple stuff, and then get off paper. And like I said, I didn't say that, but I used to get people off early too. because I could show that how your progress was. Like, okay, they got out and this was, what they were in. They were in prison for this long and they've been doing great. You know what I mean? And here's what they've accomplished since they've been on paper. And I would put in for an early release. And most of the time, when I put in for an early release, it was granted because they trusted me, trusted my word. And I would show them, on paper, how great you're doing. Don't ever give up on yourself or your family, because if you give up on yourself, you're giving up on your family and you're giving up on everyone who cares about you, because you're going to go right back to prison and it's all going to be bad again. And then you're just going to basically be on paper while you're in prison, because you got to report to somebody in prison and you got to program and follow rules. But you're no longer free. Just remember that. And just remember about the first impression thing I told you about earlier, because that means a lot. First impressions means a lot. Even if they're having a bad day and first time you meet them, they're asshole, that first impression is going to stick in their head of how you talked, how you were respectful, you were clean, in a cut, clean clothes. It goes a long ways. And just think about your cellie when you were locked up and your cellie gets released or moved or whatever happens. He's out of your cell and you're by yourself and they bring the next dude in. What is the first thing you do? You're going to want to know what he's in there for, what his paperwork is. If he's got bad paperwork, what kind of person is he? Your gut's going to tell you, right? You go with your gut feeling about this person. You're going to gauge them, talk to them, get to know them, because that's your house. And they just came into your house and they're going to be living with you. They're your roommate, your Sally. You got to live with them. So you got to find out what kind of a person they really are. And that's what we got to do as POs. And it starts on the day one. I always start mine on day one when I meet you. I'm not saying people don't change. I'm saying the way you carry yourself from that first meeting with me is going to mean a lot in your success than it would be for, if you come in there with an attitude, thinking you're hard, talking, however you want to talk, like a gangster or whatever. Nah, we don't do that shit. Don't do that. I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't do it. If you want to be out and you want to be free, listen to the things I just told you what to do. And I'm hoping that if you're dealing with paper right now, you're on paper right now, you will be successful. You know what I mean? I want you to all be successful. Anyways, that's my spiel. And one of the things I never do, and I looked at it because it's on my Instagram or one of my social media accounts. And this is something that I always live by, and I always say it's on my Instagram as in my little description of myself. Honor, loyalty, and respect. That's what I live by. Honor, loyalty, and respect. And one other thing, never forget where you come from. Never forget. People forget where they come from all the time. And those are the people that think they're high and mighty, and they might have came from the hood, and they forget where they came from. And then they get knocked off their high horse somewhere down the road, and they can't go back to their hood. They can't walk with their head up high anymore. You know what I mean? They got knocked off their horse. Let's say they lost their job or whatever. So I always say, don't forget where you come from, because I don't. I don't forget where I come from, and I don't forget the values that I learned growing up, where I came from. And that's honor, loyalty, and respect. And with that, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.